Solomon decides to build a temple in Jerusalem. The temple becomes the home of God.
For centuries, King Solomon's tomb has been wrapped in legends such as gold, hidden chambers, and secrets lost to time.
That buried underground in one of these deep tunnels is the legendary lost treasure of the biblical King Solomon.
Now, AI is peering where humans could not, revealing anomalies that leave scientists scratching their heads. Could these be clues to ancient technology, lost knowledge, or just natural oddities cleverly disguised? One thing is certain. What this machine saw inside Solomon's resting place is rewriting the rules of archaeology and making history far more mysterious than we ever imagined. Entering the tomb and what AI saw first. Imagine standing at the entrance to King Solomon's tomb. Legends paint it as a glittering cavern of gold and jewels, hidden chambers and secrets whispered through millennia. Archaeologists have scoured Jerusalem for centuries, yet the tomb remained elusive, or at least only partially explored, until now. Enter AI, a digital detective with sensors and algorithms that can see beneath stone where humans cannot. And what it found has left experts both baffled and exhilarated. The AI's first scans were unassuming. Using ground-penetrating radar, thermal imaging, and sophisticated 3D mapping, it created a detailed picture of the tomb's interior, layers of rock, hidden cavities and voids invisible to the naked eye. Scientists expected the usual: small chambers, rubble from centuries of collapse, maybe a few ancient artifacts. Instead, the data revealed anomalies that made them pause. Some cavities were oddly symmetrical, almost engineered, suggesting intentional design rather than natural formations. Others appeared in places that defied prior assumptions about the tomb's layout. AI detected unusual density variations in the stone walls, hinting at hidden recesses or compartments. And in one corridor, thermal imaging picked up subtle heat signatures, as if the structure itself had pockets of energy stored within. What does this mean? Could it be ancient technology, centuries ahead of its time, or simply clever engineering to protect priceless relics? Scientists can't agree, and that's part of the thrill. AI doesn't care about bias, tradition, or legend. It reports patterns, anomalies, and irregularities. What's truly remarkable is how much it can reveal without lifting a single stone. The tomb's legend adds to the intrigue. King Solomon, famed for wisdom, wealth, and construction projects that seemed impossibly advanced, is said to have hidden treasures and sacred objects in secret rooms. AI's scans suggest he or someone inspired by him might have gone further than anyone imagined, crafting tunnels, chambers, and hidden vaults that defy modern understanding. And then there's the fun part. AI detected patterns that almost look like instructions, geometric arrangements, or codes embedded in the architecture itself. Could Solomon have been leaving clues for future generations? Or is this just a coincidence? Human minds seeing patterns where none exist? Either way, the discoveries blur the line between legend and science, history and imagination. For the first time, researchers are seeing the tomb not just as a relic of the past, but as a puzzle waiting to be decoded. Each anomaly raises new questions. Each void promises secrets. And every layer of stone becomes a page in a story humans are only beginning to read. AI hasn't just mapped Solomon's tomb, it has opened a portal into the unknown. And if AI has turned the tomb into a book, then the next chapter might just be written in its hidden chambers and secret architecture. Hidden chambers and secret architecture. If the first minutes got your heart racing, imagining AI peering into the unknown, wait until you hear what lies beneath the surface. The scans revealed more than voids. They suggested hidden chambers carefully designed with a sophistication that feels almost modern. Imagine entering a tomb where the walls are not random stone, but carefully laid blocks forming corridors, niches, and vaults that seem to defy gravity and logic. AI detected chambers tucked away behind seemingly solid walls, spaces so precise that even the sharpest tools might struggle to breach them. Some were small, possibly for storage of ceremonial items. Others were massive, hidden caverns large enough to contain objects of incredible significance, or perhaps secrets we're not yet ready to understand. It's the kind of design that makes you pause and ask, did King Solomon himself engineer this? Or was there an entire team of ancient architects working with knowledge long lost to time? The geometry alone is baffling. Scans revealed corridors that angle in ways to direct sound or light, almost like they were built to amplify ritual or protect treasures. In some rooms, AI detected patterns in the stonework, triangles, concentric circles, and interlocking designs that could be symbolic, mathematical, or even a coded language meant to communicate across generations. It's hard not to imagine Solomon as a master strategist, leaving messages for future seekers hidden in plain sight. And then there's the precision. Some stones fit so perfectly that not even a sliver of paper could slip between them. This isn't just craftsmanship, it's engineering. The kind that makes modern architects gape. Could ancient builders have had techniques we've since forgotten? Or was this deliberate? A way to protect what was inside from thieves, invaders, or even curious archaeologists? AI's scans hint that every block was placed with purpose, every chamber carved with intention. The playful part? AI even suggests some rooms might have been designed to mislead. Certain corridors appear to lead to dead ends, or at least dead ends that aren't really dead. Some voids seem to intersect with others in ways that only make sense if you're thinking in 3 dimensions, as if the tomb itself were a giant puzzle box. It's as if Solomon, or someone inspired by him, was challenging future generations. If you want my secrets, you'll need more than eyes. You'll need brains, patience, and perhaps a little luck. These hidden chambers aren't just architectural wonders, they're a lesson in thinking beyond what we know. The tomb becomes more than a resting place. It's a school of ancient ingenuity. AI is simply our guide, revealing the layers, patterns, and possibilities we could never see with human eyes alone. Every corridor, every vault, every hidden room raises more questions than answers. What was meant to be stored here? Gold, sacred objects, lost knowledge? Or could some spaces have served ceremonial purposes, guiding sound, light, or even spiritual energy? The truth remains elusive, but AI has handed humanity its first key. The puzzle is open, and the adventure has only just begun. To understand why his tomb matters at all, we first have to understand the man himself, King Solomon, remembered as both a genius and a legend. King Solomon, genius, legend, or both? Before we dive deeper into what AI has uncovered, let's talk about the man who made this tomb famous. King Solomon. Think of him as a mix of genius strategist, billionaire collector, and master builder, all rolled into one. He ruled Israel around 970 to 931 BC and earned a reputation for wisdom so sharp it could settle arguments before they even started. But he wasn't just brains. He had bling, gold, jewels, exotic animals, and treasures from distant lands reportedly flowed into Jerusalem like a river. Naturally, Everyone wanted to know, where did it all end up? Legends say Solomon didn't just stash gold, he hid secrets. Some stories whisper about sacred objects, scrolls of forbidden knowledge, or even clever traps in his tomb designed to baffle thieves and treasure hunters. And while some of this sounds like pure fantasy, AI scans are now hinting that there might be more truth in the tales than anyone expected. Hidden chambers, odd structural patterns, and anomalies could be Solomon's way of leaving breadcrumbs or puzzles for anyone curious enough to look. What makes Solomon fascinating isn't just his wealth or wisdom. It's how history and myth dance around him. Archaeological evidence shows Jerusalem thrived during his reign. But the biblical stories are dramatic enough to make Hollywood jealous. That mix of fact and legend is exactly what makes AI's discoveries so thrilling. When the machine spots a secret corridor or a mysterious cavity, we can't help but imagine, did Solomon plan this? Was it a trap? Or is it a puzzle meant for future generations? Exploring his tomb isn't just about stone and soil, it's a peek into the mind of a king who played at the intersection of brilliance and showmanship. Every hidden chamber, every unusual formation, every coded pattern AI detects could be a clue to Solomon's genius or his sense of humor. After all, who else would build a tomb that makes archaeologists scratch their heads 3,000 years later? In short, King Solomon isn't just a historical figure, he's a legend, a mystery, and now, thanks to AI, the ultimate puzzle master. Ancient technology or natural quirk? Here's where things get wild. When AI scanned Solomon's tomb, it didn't just find empty rooms and stone walls, it picked up on anomalies that made even the most seasoned scientists sit up straighter. Metallic traces where no metal should be, magnetic fields that shift like a compass gone dizzy, and energy signatures that pulse faintly, almost like the heartbeat of the Earth itself. Now, skeptics will tell you this is nothing unusual. Rocks can contain magnetic minerals. Geological layers sometimes confuse scanning devices. Maybe the Earth is simply doing what the Earth does, being weird. But here's the problem. The anomalies inside Solomon's tomb don't line up with the usual nature at work explanations. They're too precise, too intentional. It's as if the stone is playing tricks on modern instruments. Or, perhaps, holding secrets crafted thousands of years ago. So, what are the options? Option 1. Natural quirk. Maybe the tomb was built in a spot where magnetic fields just happen to shift. Maybe unusual mineral veins run through the rock, creating strange energy readings. If that's the case, then Solomon's builders either got very lucky or knew something about geology we didn't expect them to. Option 2. Ancient technology. This is where things get exciting. What if the metallic traces are remnants of tools, wires, or devices deliberately placed within the tomb? Ancient people were clever. Egyptians built pyramids aligned with the stars. The Romans poured concrete that still outlasts ours. Could Solomon's engineers have discovered a way to channel energy, preserve objects, or create an early kind of security system for the tomb? AI's scans don't prove this, but they don't rule it out either. And here's the playful part. Imagine if those energy pockets were designed to mislead. A built-in decoy to throw off intruders. Or maybe they're remnants of something functional, like a ventilation system, a sound amplifier for rituals, or even an ancient experiment with magnetism. Sounds far-fetched? Maybe. But so did flight, electricity, and Wi-Fi before someone figured them out. Scientists aren't ready to call it technology, but they also can't dismiss the possibility. The anomalies are stubbornly inconsistent with the idea of simple geology. And with AI mapping them in greater detail, the mystery only deepens. The scans paint a picture of a tomb that's not just a burial chamber, but a carefully engineered space, one that may have been designed to impress, confuse, or even protect. Whether natural or intentional, the result is the same. King Solomon's tomb refuses to be ordinary. It challenges our assumptions about ancient builders, about what they knew, and about how much of their knowledge may have been lost or hidden over thousands of years. So, was Solomon's tomb built on a natural quirk? Or did ancient engineers design something that still stuns our best technology today? The truth may lie in the middle. Maybe the builders understood the land so well they used its quirks to their advantage, turning natural oddities into deliberate marvels. That's not just clever, it's genius. One thing is certain. AI has pulled back the curtain on anomalies no one can fully explain. And that's both thrilling and terrifying. Because if we can't explain what we're seeing with modern science, what does that say about the brilliance or the secrets of the ancient world? Yet the strangest discoveries weren't the chambers themselves, but the whispers carved into their walls, inscriptions, symbols, and hidden messages waiting to be unlocked. Let's hear more whispers in the stone. The language of the tomb. When archaeologists and AI engineers teamed up to study Solomon's tomb, most expected the machines to confirm what humans had already seen. Stone walls, faint carvings, maybe a few decorative patterns. But AI doesn't just see what's obvious. It catches what's almost invisible. And in this case, it picked up traces of inscriptions and symbols so subtle that most human researchers had overlooked them for decades. That was the moment the investigation stopped being about stones and bones and became something closer to cracking a cosmic riddle. The AI scans revealed faint geometric markings, circles, spirals, and interlocking triangles. Some looked like simple decorations, but others were mathematically precise, matching ratios and alignments. Modern scholars instantly recognized the golden ratio, Pythagorean triangles, even symmetrical patterns that seemed eerily like blueprints. If true, that means Solomon, or whoever designed the tomb, was playing with concepts we often credit to later civilizations. Did his court know advanced geometry long before the Greeks? Or were they encoding something far stranger? Something that wasn't supposed to be common knowledge? The playful part is this. AI doesn't just detect shapes. It finds connections. And when it mapped out these inscriptions, some of them formed sequences. In other words, they weren't random doodles on rock, they were structured, almost like a text. Imagine walking into an ancient tomb and realizing the walls aren't just holding up the ceiling, they're whispering. Historians began comparing the sequences to known scripts, Phoenician, Hebrew, even Egyptian hieroglyphics. The results weren't conclusive, but they were tantalizing. A few marks looked suspiciously like Proto-Hebrew letters, while others seemed symbolic rather than linguistic, closer to codes or emblems. One researcher joked that it was like stumbling across Solomon's version of QR codes, except these weren't meant to link you to a website, but maybe to unlock chambers, guide rituals, or preserve secret wisdom. Of course, not everyone's convinced. Skeptics point out that AI can sometimes highlight random patterns and make them look intentional. Humans are notorious for seeing faces in clouds and figures in static. So it's possible some of these symbols are just erosion or natural markings. But here's the twist. The patterns weren't scattered randomly. They clustered in specific areas, especially near structural anomalies that AI flagged as possible hidden chambers. That's the sort of coincidence that makes even skeptics lean forward in their chairs. Think about it. If the symbols were aligned near hidden spaces, Maybe they were meant as signposts. To ancient builders, they could have functioned as guides for priests, engineers, or initiates who knew how to read the tomb. To us, they look like puzzles, and puzzles are exactly what Solomon was famous for. Solomon's reputation for wisdom wasn't just about making smart political decisions. The Bible describes him as a master of riddles, someone who could answer impossible questions and pose challenges no one else could solve. Could his tomb be one giant extension of that personality? A place where he left not only his remains, but also a final riddle carved into stone, waiting centuries for the right tools to decode it? Theories are flying. Some suggest the inscriptions were ritualistic, designed to amplify acoustics or guide light in ceremonial practices. Imagine chanting inside chambers where symbols activated the space, creating echoes and vibrations that felt mystical. Others think the marks might have been spiritual locks, protective seals meant to ward off intruders or confuse grave robbers. After all, who would want to loot a tomb if the very walls seemed to speak in codes? Then there are the wilder theories. A few fringe researchers argue the inscriptions could be technological, not in the sense of gadgets and gears, but as a kind of encoded knowledge, mathematical or scientific truths hidden in plain sight. Ancient builders often embedded knowledge in architecture. The Great Pyramid, for example, aligns almost perfectly with cardinal directions. What if Solomon's tomb does something similar, embedding cosmic knowledge into its very design? The playful part of this debate is imagining what those messages could actually say. Are they warnings? Do not enter? Or could they be invitations like, only the wise may proceed? And if Solomon really wanted to ensure his wisdom lasted forever, maybe the inscriptions contain fragments of lost proverbs or even secret knowledge we can't yet comprehend. AI, in this case, isn't just a tool, it's the modern version of a riddle solver, doing what humans alone couldn't. Educationally, this is where the story shines. AI has become a time machine of sorts, resurrecting carvings eroded by centuries of dust, weather, and human neglect. What once looked like meaningless scratches are now reconstructed digitally, allowing researchers to read a wall that was silent for millennia. It's like bringing subtitles to a movie that had been playing in silence for 3,000 years. And here's the most spine-tingling thought. If the inscriptions can be decoded, they could rewrite how we understand King Solomon. Was he simply a wise ruler, or was he also a keeper of ancient secrets? Secrets that AI is only now beginning to reveal. Did he intend for future generations to stumble upon these markings? Or did he hide them to ensure that only the most persistent seekers would ever uncover them? Whatever the answer, one thing is certain. The walls of Solomon's tomb aren't just walls. They're pages, and for the first time in history, we're starting to read them. If the tomb itself was a puzzle, then what lay inside would prove even more confounding. The treasure that wasn't expected. When archaeologists talk about treasure, most people picture glittering gold, heaps of jewels, or ornate relics waiting in a hidden vault. With King Solomon's tomb, that expectation skyrockets. After all, this was the ruler whose wealth was so legendary it blurred the line between fact and myth. But when AI mapped the anomalies inside his resting place, what it revealed didn't look like any hoard we've ever imagined. Instead of clear outlines of treasure chests or scattered artifacts, the scans pointed to carefully placed clusters, geometric in their positioning, almost ritualistic in their layout. Some deposits appeared in niches along walls, others at the intersections of structural alignments. It didn't scream loot, it whispered design. Even stranger were the signatures of unfamiliar materials. AI detected densities and compositions not common to the local geology. That suggests some of the tomb's contents were imported. Objects that had traveled across deserts and seas before being entombed. Could these be diplomatic gifts from far-off rulers, perhaps even the Queen of Sheba? Or were they sacred relics, chosen less for their monetary value and more for their symbolic weight? Another anomaly rattled expectations. Certain treasure zones seemed to be empty spaces rather than filled ones, hollow chambers built with precision. To some researchers, this hints at the possibility of treasure that isn't material at all. Perhaps they were chambers for rituals, sealed containers of scrolls, or symbolic voids meant to represent cosmic order. The twist is that none of these findings match the typical burial wealth archaeologists see in other royal tombs. Solomon's treasures, if that's what they are, appear less like currency and more like messages. They weren't meant to be flaunted. They were meant to be hidden, discovered only by those persistent enough to look deeper. That's why the AI results are both thrilling and unsettling. If Solomon filled his tomb with unexpected materials, imported relics, or empty spaces designed with purpose, then his treasure was never about gold at all. It was about control, meaning, and maybe even secrets he wanted to guard for eternity. In short, the world expected piles of wealth. What AI is hinting at instead is a riddle of objects, voids, and foreign artifacts that may rewrite what we think a king's final treasure was meant to be. Solomon's influence on cultures and religions. One reason King Solomon's tomb captures so much imagination is that his story doesn't belong to just one tradition. It stretches across cultures, faiths, and even secret societies. Few figures in ancient history have managed to leave fingerprints on so many different worlds. That's why every new discovery about him, especially something as explosive as AI spotting hidden chambers, feels like it could ripple far beyond archaeology. In Judaism, Solomon is the builder of the first temple in Jerusalem, the Golden Age king whose wisdom, wealth, and judgment are legendary. The Hebrew Bible paints him as both a wise ruler and a flawed man, someone who sought knowledge and power but often wrestled with temptation. His temple became the spiritual heart of the nation, and some believe his tomb could still hold relics from that sacred era. In Christianity, Solomon is woven into the story of Jesus' lineage and revered as a symbol of wisdom granted by God. His writings, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and the Song of Songs, are part of the biblical canon, shaping not just theology but also philosophy and literature for centuries. For Christians, Solomon isn't just a king of the past, he's a timeless teacher whose words continue to echo. In Islam, Solomon, or Sulaiman, is a prophet, a man blessed not only with wisdom, but with control over the natural world. Islamic tradition describes him as commanding the winds, understanding the speech of animals, and even having authority over jinn. His tomb, therefore, isn't just the resting place of a king. To Muslims, it could be the hidden chamber of a prophet, whose power straddled the seen and unseen worlds. And then there are the mystics. In Kabbalah, Solomon represents access to hidden wisdom. In Freemasonry, his temple is used as a symbol of enlightenment, discipline, and the pursuit of secret knowledge. The Seal of Solomon, two interlocking triangles forming a hexagram, became an emblem of power, appearing in magical texts and occult traditions for centuries. Even today, it shows up in folklore about protection and unlocking mysteries. What's remarkable is how one man became such a crossroads. For some, he's a king. For others, a prophet. For others still, the keeper of secret wisdom that could change the course of humanity. That's why the idea of AI peering into his tomb isn't just about archaeology, it's about shaking the foundations of belief systems. If the machine uncovers inscriptions, relics, or even chambers tied to Solomon's name, it could echo through synagogues, churches, mosques, and even Masonic lodges. It's rare to find a figure who matters so deeply to so many. But Solomon has always been bigger than history. He's been myth, legend, and symbol. And maybe that's the real secret of his tomb. It's not just a place for the dead, but a meeting point for the living, uniting cultures across time. To grasp the weight of what was discovered, we have to remember the very thing Solomon was legendary for: wisdom. Solomon's legacy of wisdom. If there's one thing everyone knows about Solomon, it's that he wasn't your average king. He didn't just swing swords or hoard gold. He solved problems nobody else could touch. His reputation for wisdom wasn't built on dusty lectures or endless scrolls. It came from dazzling people with clever solutions, sharp riddles, and insights so unexpected they became legendary. Take the most famous story. Two women came to Solomon, each claiming to be the mother of the same child. No witnesses, no evidence, just a baby and a dispute. Solomon didn't call a jury or launch an investigation. Instead, he suggested cutting the child in half and giving each woman a piece. Brutal? Yes, but it was a masterstroke of psychology. The real mother immediately begged to give the child to the other woman rather than see it harmed, exposing the truth without a drop of blood spilled. That wasn't just judgment, it was theater, a riddle turned into justice. And it didn't stop there. Legends say Solomon exchanged riddles with foreign rulers, puzzling them with challenges no one else could solve. The Queen of Sheba, intrigued by his reputation, is said to have traveled across deserts with hard questions designed to stump him. Instead, she left impressed, convinced his wisdom was the real deal. Imagine a king whose international diplomacy wasn't done with armies, but with riddles. That was Solomon's style. This knack for riddles wasn't just entertainment, it was survival. By outsmarting rivals, inspiring allies, and dazzling visitors, Solomon cemented his power without needing endless wars. His wisdom became his fortress. Even his writings reflect this. Proverbs is packed with one-liners sharp enough to outlast empires. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Simple, but timeless. Ecclesiastes, meanwhile, wrestles with life's big questions. The meaning of existence, the vanity of wealth, the inevitability of death. It's the kind of wisdom that feels as relevant today as it did 3,000 years ago. Here's where it gets juicy. What if Solomon's love of riddles didn't end with words? What if his tomb itself was a final puzzle? An eye has already picked up faint inscriptions, geometric shapes, and coded patterns etched into the walls. What if these weren't random decorations, but the ultimate riddle, a message hidden for the future? Some scholars imagine Solomon laughing across the centuries, daring us to solve one last puzzle with the tools of our age. In that sense, AI isn't just a scientific instrument. It's a competitor stepping onto Solomon's chessboard. For centuries, his riddles confounded rulers, philosophers, and storytellers. Now, a machine trained to detect patterns and solve codes might finally rise to the challenge. Is the tomb whispering proverbs lost to time? Or is it a riddle no one, not even AI, will ever crack? One thing's for sure, if wisdom was Solomon's crown, then his legacy is alive and well. And maybe, just maybe, his tomb is more than a resting place. It's a test, a game, and a riddle waiting to be solved. What AI uncovered inside King Solomon's tomb doesn't just challenge archaeology, it challenges imagination. Instead of a final resting place, the site feels like a living riddle, packed with symbols, foreign artifacts, and chambers that seem more intentional than decorative. Solomon's wisdom, wealth, and influence echo through every anomaly, as if he planned for the future to stumble across his secrets. Was it treasure, knowledge, or something else entirely? For now, the answers remain sealed, leaving us with more questions than solutions. And perhaps that's the point. Solomon's greatest legacy may not be what he left behind, but the endless mystery that keeps us searching. Your thoughts and comments are welcome in the section below. If you liked the video, leave a thumbs up and click on the subscribe button for more ancient and historical content like this. See you in the next one.